What's up guys, my name is Agent Psycho, and here I'm bringing you the first episode of the Exploring the Arsenal series with me, Agent Psycho, aka Toho Sniper 98. So I hope you guys will enjoy this first episode. Like I have promised, the first episode will be on the M4A1, the first GP standard assault rifle, available right as you join Combat Arms in the GP shop. So let's get right into it. The damage on the M4A1 is 38, so it's pretty decent. It's not exactly the strongest assault rifle out there, because obviously, as we all know, the G36 has a damage rating of 45, in case you guys didn't know, so that's pretty damn powerful for an assault rifle. The M4A1 doesn't really match up to that, but for what it is, it's pretty decent, and it'll still get you kills. Though, the damage is relatively low for an assault rifle, so you may have a hard time picking off people, especially from a distance, considering that damage drop-off at long range. But at close range, due to its rate of fire, you shouldn't have any problem putting people down. But we'll get into the rate of fire in a little bit. So that's it for its damage. The portability on the M4A1 is a 60 rating, so I mean, it's kind of in the middle somewhere. It's pretty average for an assault rifle. I mean, there's no problem. I have no problem running around with the M4A1. I'm perfectly fine with it. Though, if you guys do prefer running around with a pistol for the most part, then I suggest you guys do so, because there are faster assault rifles than the M4A1. Notably the M4A1 CQPR, which will be the next episode, but we'll get into that later. Moving on to the rate of fire. The rate of fire on the M4A1 is a whopping 74. So I believe that Rec 7 has a rate of fire of 75, and the Rec 7's rate of fire is very fast. So in comparison, the M4A1 has a very fast rate of fire. Having a fast rate of fire kind of makes up for its low damage capacity, because at 38 you're gonna have a hard time putting people down if you didn't have a equally fast rate of fire. So having a fast rate of fire really does help the M4A1 put people down because of its low damage. So yeah, it's one of those kinds of guns where it trades power for rate of fire, if you guys know what I mean. Moving on to its accuracy, the accuracy on the M4A1 is an 80. So if you guys watched my CZOT 805 gun review, you would know that the CZOT 805 also has a accuracy rating of 80. So the M4A1 is supposedly as accurate as the CZOT 805. But in reality, the M4A1 is very accurate. It can still pick off heads quite easily at middle to long range. At extreme ranges, though, you might have some problems. But then for those kinds of engagements, I do recommend having the ACOG sight on it, as I do in this video. It'll help you pick off those targets at long range very easily, like in this video, or like in that kill right there. So moving on from its accuracy, the recoil. The recoil on the M4A1 is a 64. So practically speaking, the recoil isn't really that much, and we'll get into the specific categories of the recoil in just a moment here, but practically speaking, you don't really feel much recoil from the M4A1. If you go full auto and while scoped in, you'll definitely feel some, but I'll get into that in a moment here. So that's it for its recoil statistic. Now the recoil spread. The recoil spread while hip firing is relatively tight. If you go full auto on that thing, then it doesn't really get that big, and if you're hip firing at middle to close to CQC range, then you shouldn't have any problem. Most of your bullets will still hit, though I don't recommend spraying it all the way, because towards like the last 10 or 5 bullets or so, the spread will get pretty uncontrollable. So just a warning for you guys out there who want to kind of just spray and pray with the M4A1. Not saying that it's a bad idea, but you might miss your mark on several bullets, and that may or may not make the difference between whether or not you win that gunfight you're in. So now moving on to recoil kickback. What I mean by kickback is if you just if you just spray at a wall with a certain gun, the recoil kickback is how much that gun kind of wobbles around on your screen. So practically speaking, the M4A1 doesn't really have a very huge kickback because of its relatively low recoil. In fact, you'll never notice that at all in like gunfights such as these. As you can see, I'm controlling the recoil very easily without much problems, except for scoping in, obviously. But then scoping in recoil, we'll get to that in a second here. Now, recoil controllability. Because of its low recoil statistic, the M4A1 has a very, very solid recoil pattern, and thus it's easy to control. You can predict where the recoil is going to go, both hip firing and scoped in, if you play around with the M4A1 long enough. While tap firing, it's very easy to tap fire with the M4A1. You can tap fire very fast with the M4A1, like you see right there. So, tap firing is always a good thing. Headshot. Tap firing is always a good thing at middle to long ranges, so because you're able to tap fire well with the M4, it'll serve your long distance engagements really well. Now moving on to luck. I honestly don't think I should be I'm one to kind of talk about a gun's luck, but I'm gonna try anyway. Although I am someone with very bad luck to begin with. Here's my take on it. The M4A1's luck is moderate. I mean, if you try to aim for heads, then because of his low recoil spread, I thought that was a collateral, but then when I looked at the kill feed, I was like, it wasn't. So I was like, and where was I? Basically, if you spray at someone's head from middle range, you should be able to pick off a headshot maybe around 30% of the time. So roughly about a third of your gunfights. So, I mean, if you want to rely on the M4's luck and getting you headshots, I guess you can do that, but I don't think it's going to work out so well. I mean, this is advice from a guy who's never really lucky with headshots to begin with, so you may or may not want to listen to me, but that's just my take on it. I have gotten quite a few lucky lottos with the M4, but for the most part, I don't think you should rely on its lotto ability. We just made up the word on the spot, but yeah, that's it for its luck. For its ammo capacity, it's standard for an assault rifle in Nexon or in combat arms. It's a regular 30 round in magazine and 90 rounds in reserve. You can attach an extended mag on it, like I do in this video, so it'll give you 40 rounds in magazine and 80 in reserve. So some of its key physical characteristics, it's actually very small on your character sprite, because the M4A1 was meant to be a shortened M16 variant in real life. Nexon did a good job in portraying that in game as well. You can hide around with it, hide around corners with it easily, so you don't have to pull out your pistol or anything when you're hiding around corners. You can just have your M4 out and just stare directly down at the ground if you don't want people to see your barrel. So yeah, and the top rail, whenever you add a sight on the M4, in Call of Duty, if you put a scope or like a sight on your M4, it'll remove the top rail. In combat arms, it doesn't seem to do that, so I've met some people who are bothered by the fact that the top rail is still there on the M4A1 when you have an ACOG or an ITEC on it. So you may or may not think it's bulky on your screen, but that's just on personal opinion, so that's up to you. And now the muzzle noise, basically what I mean by that is whenever you fire, the kind of sound that the gun makes when you fire it. It's very low. It's a very low frequency sound, so at very long range, you don't need a silencer. For example, I'm playing on Snow Valley, right? If I decide to tap fire my way to victory at far range, then I'm able to do that without picking up much attention because the M4A1's firing sound is very low, and you don't really need a silencer for it at long range because I don't think people will be able to hear it at such distances anyway. So attachment options, the M4A1 can attach all possible mods on it, including sights, extended mags or magazine modifications, and suppressors. I would suggest having the extended mag 1 in it because it does have a hefty rate of fire, so you might find yourself running out of bullets more frequently than you might expect. For those of you who have never tried the M4, that is. Suppressors, because suppressors take off 10% of damage off your gun, since the M4A1 does have a very low damage to begin with, I don't suggest putting a silencer on it. I mean, because the S3 silencer is a very good silencer, you may want to try that out, but for the most part, I don't think you should. Also, because it silencers screw up the recoil pattern. Because the M4A1 has a very good recoil pattern, I don't think you should screw it up any further. Might throw you off a bit. So now for my frank personal opinions on it. I think the M4A1 is a very fantastic gun. So fantastic, in fact, that about 2 years ago, when Nexon had the default weapon switch option in the black market, when it was still there before they phased it out, I actually got it. So I technically don't have an M16 in my inbox right now. All I have is this M4A1. It says by default I have an M4A1. Do mind though, for those of you guys who do have a default M4A1, you're not able to customize it. I've tried, it doesn't work. You need to buy the M4A1 from the the GP shop in order to customize it. So yeah, that's that for its customizability. I'm making up words on the spot. Go Shakespeare. Anyways, for more of my personal opinions, I think, once again, I'm repeating myself, but I think it's a very good gun, especially at long ranges, because you can tap fire very easily with the gun. Though, before Nexon nerfed the M4, for those of you guys who didn't know, they did nerf it. I remember if you had an ACOG gun and you scoped in and you went full auto, you could just it would just go straight up. It was the best thing in the world, because all I would do is just camp in the back of Junkfleet and just shoot people down the middle section of the map, just spraying with the M4. You're not able to do that anymore, but the tap fire ability on the M4A1 is still there, so it's very good. For CQC, do not go up against SMGs. I've tried like that. SMGs will win almost every single time. The M4A1 is not one to be challenged, or actually SMGs can't be challenged by M4 variants for the most part, unless you get Lucky Lotto or something like that. Try to keep your engagements of the M4A1 to middle or long range. There you'll pretty much dominate if you know how to control your tap fire. As for my final rating, I give the M4A1 at close quarters 75%, at middle range 80%, and at long range 85%. For those guys who don't know what this final rating is, go back to my exploring the arsenal discussion video, and you'll find out what that is. So once you take the average of it, it gives the M4A1 a final rating of 80%. So there you guys have it. The M4A1 is a very solid gun. It's very decent, and I hope you guys try it out. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.